staggering statements yesterday that are 100% opposite of what he told Sergeant G. And I can make a record, but if I get to use them, I'd like to not have him listen. But I'm not talking minor details. I'm talking significant details. And therefore, I think Garrity only protects if he were here being criminally charged. He had many lawyers with him at different times. He's totally had the best lawyers that he could purchase himself, and the city of Phoenix purchased for him. And so therefore, if there is a privilege, it has been totally waived. And he looks like a Fifth Amendment. He can't get on the stand, as Patty Hirsch tried to do, and just say, I'd like to take it now and not later. The Ninth Circuit said you can't do that.
Given the amount of time we had, I was able to review U.S. v. Deal 153 F3 1233. A new case out of the 11th Circuit. U.S. v. McKinley. McKinley versus City of Mansfield. 404 F3 418. They don't cover this situation specifically, but they do have the general principle that the Fifth Amendment can't be used as a shield against, in the case is perjury. I don't know if we need to raise the level of perjury, but I say for impeachment, the law I'm much more familiar with is violation of Miranda rights that has not allowed or does not protect the defendant from being impeached statements that were in violation of Miranda. So I see that is the most akin situation to this one. So the court would allow impeachment of Officer Virgilio on statements he may have made to Sergeant Agia that are inconsistent with testimony he's made today or yesterday, or statements he's made in other statements. Anything else? Take a break, wait for the juries to show up. All right here? All right.
You ready?
I'm ready when they're ready. Officer Virgilio, why don't you come out, sir? seated. Records reflect the presence of Mr. Chrisman, County Clerk. Judge, good afternoon. Officer Regilla is still on the stand, still under oath, still on cross-examination. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Show you again Exhibit 295 of your call record. You told us this morning you thought maybe your supervisor was calling you. To start with, take a look at who you called at 11:47. You called 480-967-3333, right?
Yes.
And that's the Honda dealership, right? The car place.
I don't know what number that is. The 480-967-3333.
Okay, could we call that right now?
Objection, it's not sustained.
Okay. In any event, whatever that number reaches, the number you called at 12:32, at least the first six are very similar, aren't they? In fact, they're identical. 480-967, right?
You just said they called me.
Oh, you're right. Thank you for correcting me. Let's go, let me start over again to do it correctly. At 11:47, you called 480-967-3333. And at 12:32, you received a call from 480-967-9325. Right?
I know I received a call from 480-967-9325. I don't know if the 11:47 call is an incoming or outgoing call. I don't know.
All right. Either way, those two calls were made at that time, right?
Yes.
And those are the numbers.
Yes.
And the one at 12:32, the bill says the duration was 1 minute, correct?
Yes.
Now, Sergeant Matson, the sergeant that you thought was your supervisor, right?
Yes.
His cell phone starts with 602, doesn't it?
I have no idea what his cell phone starts with.
And they interviewed you 2 or 3 different times that week. That's on that.
Yes.
All right. Try that, please.
I don't know. You have to tell us what page you're...
I'm sorry, Exhibit 290, page 19.
I would have never gone in that trailer. Never. You
That's not the one.
You declared this when you were inside of the
Yes.
door, and I was laying,
Right.
syndicate outside of the door.
Right.
So when you actually left, when you walked out, you brought the taser with you and dropped it out again?
Yes.
So you told Sergeant Agia and Sergeant Klein on October 5th that after before that you walked out, you brought the taser with you and dropped it out here. You said yes. The taser was laying at least 3 feet outside the trailer door, outside under the porch. Your taser, wasn't it, when Sergeant Agia asked you that?
Yes.
I think, I just want to make sure I haven't covered this. were talking to the attorneys on July 26, 2012, you told them that with your initial contact with Ms. Fernandez, she was upset, emotional, and desperate.
I'd have to look at the transcripts.
Would you look at that big, what number is that one you have in your hand? There's a,
292.
would you look at page 183? That one. That's what you told me.
Yes.
So you were under oath at that time, as you are today, when you said that, or yesterday when you said Ms. Fernandez was calm. But in July, you said she was upset, emotional, desperate.
Yes.
You said her son was out of control. I'm sorry, she said, from what you can remember, there was a mother saying her son was out of control. That's what you told the attorneys on July 26, 2012, right?
Yes.
When the pit bull was barking, inside the trailer, it was about, what, 8-10 feet away from the edge of the tile area?
Objection, my foundation. Time.
Overall, witness, witness understands the question, you can answer.
Do you understand?
It was by the TV.
I understand. The question was, it was about 8 to 10 feet away from the edge of the tile area. Fair statement?
I don't know. It was by the TV, whatever that is.
Now, let me ask you this question. When Chrisman turns the door handle and opens it a few inches, you're able to see in there, right?
Yes.
And you see two dogs right there, right?
Yes.
And the muzzle of the dog is right there in the doorway, right?
Yes.
And at that time, when Officer Chrisman was going hands-on and Daniel was pulling away, you believed he was resisting arrest, technically, right?
When Chrisman went in initially, he didn't go hands-on, he went gun-on.
Sir, my question was, when he was going hands-on to take him into custody and Daniel was pulling away, you believed he was technically resisting arrest, correct?
I needed to detain him.
Isn't what you told Sergeant Agia, that when Chrisman was going hands-on to take him into custody and Daniel was pulling away, you told Sergeant Agia he was technically resisting arrest, correct?
I don't remember that.
And you told him that Daniel was flailing his arms and he was kicking. I'm sorry, and when she asked you if he was flailing his arms and he was kicking, you said everything, right?
I don't remember that.
Let me hand you Exhibit 288. Mark for identification. I'm going to open page 52. And ask you if you could take a look at that. For a minute, I'll get my copy.
And do you have one from Mr. Martinez?
I provided all of these, all four of them to him.
Okay.
Well, I can't find my copy. Ah, thank you. All right. So, did Sergeant Ajia ask you these questions and did you give these answers on October 5th, 2010? And Daniel's pulling away. For Joe, Daniel's pulling away. Fine. So he was flailing. Ajia. So he's resisting. Fine. His arm. Ajia. Arrest technically. Virgillo. Right. Fine. Was flailing his arms and was he kicking? Virgillo. Everything. Were you asked those questions and did you give those answers?
Yes, and I also gave, was he kicking? And I responded, no.
Okay. So you said yes, he was kicking and no, he wasn't kicking.
Correct.
Now let me see if I can find. Just a minute. I asked you this morning if you believe that Daniel was under the influence of alcohol or drugs, mentally unstable, all of the above, he's hanked up and jacked up, and you said, no, you didn't believe that. You remember that? Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, could you play clip 3, please? Oh, this is Sergeant Gia number 1, page 44.
For purposes of our record and Mr. Martinez, which exhibit transcript are you coming off of? Is it the 10-5, the one that
It's the,
is 280, because you've given us,
I understand that. What number exhibit do you have there?
288, sir.
That's the one, Judge, 288.
and what page?
And it's page 44.
How many total pages are there on this? You indicated there's a lot of exhibits. How many total pages overall? Which one we're talking about?
44 is just what he just said.
44 total pages?
He's referencing page 44.
It's the one that starts, it's the first one that, it looks like this.
And in the way that he took that spray, did you do his acting in the way that he took that spray? Did you get like any impression like maybe this guy's under the influence of alcohol, drugs?
Yes.
Or maybe he's mentally unstable and he's...
All of the above. Something's not right with this guy. He's too inked up.
So he's jacked, you say he's jacked up, he's
Yeah.
full of energy, was he fidgety, was he moving back and forth?
He was very quick, very excited,
Okay, and that was just...
very confident.
That was you on October 5th, 2010, talking to Sergeant Ajia and Sergeant Klein, right?
Yes.
And that's what you told them then? right?
Yes.
But you're telling us today it's not true, what you told them?
That's not what I was saying.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that this was a very, it was a bad night, and I might have a little tired. but there was something not quite right with him.
Well, but I ask you, did you make a statement, tired or not?
I
You said
did.
today, are you tired now? I'm sorry. Okay, fine, that's what you got. Now, in that same interview that night, October 5th, 2010, when you're asked about the OC pepper spray and Officer Chrisman sprays him in the face, as you told us, Daniel didn't do anything, didn't affect him. And then, as soon as about a 2 second, you remember him getting sprayed, he's going down, and then you step out of the trailer, right?
Yes.
And Sergeant Agia or Klein says, all right, so you step out of the trailer a second time, and you said, yes.
Yes.
But you told us today, you've only stepped out once. You went in, came out once, went back in and stayed the whole time. That's what you're telling us today. Right?
Correct.
But you walked outside, and actually you don't remember how long you were out there, do you?
Yes, I did.
Well, that's not what you told Larry Walton on July 26, 2012. When you were asked questions under oath. Page 33, did you look at
Is that 292 now?
what exhibit?
292.
Are you at page 292?
It's exhibit 292.
I'm sorry, Beth. Thank you. Are you at page 33? You say, were you asked these questions and did you give this answer? After you stepped out of the trailer to get some air, what happened next? Answer. Got some air, walked back into the trailer. Question. How long do you estimate you were outside of the trailer? Answer. I don't remember. Question. Less than 5 seconds? Answer. Somewhere. You asked those questions and did you give those answers?
Yes. I was concerned,
You were worried about the dog, weren't you?
yes.
And if the dog wasn't there, you'd have had no problem trying to come in and take Danny down, right?
No.
Okay, this is book 4. This is from page 47 of the first interview by Sergeant Gia.
So if you could just show me the front page.
Right.
What page?
Page 47,
Uh,
and that's that first one. No, I think this one.
I was so worried about going hands-on because of the dog. I thought that if I would get in this little area here, this dog was going to come.
Okay.
So I was maintaining a distance.
So you had a fear that the dog may be aggressive?
Yes.
So that's what you told Sergeant Gia on October 5th.
Yes.
You felt that the dog was going to protect its owner.
Initially, it was a concern, but when the dog maintained its distance at the television.
I said you were concerned that the dog was going to protect its owner.
Initially,
But after a while, you didn't think that.
correct.
You didn't feel comfortable going in there because of the dog, right?
I didn't feel comfortable going in there, period.
Yeah, but you didn't feel comfortable going in there because of the dog. Right?
Initially,
Okay. The dog was a possible threat, right?
yes.
I mean, you, when you were young, witnessed your sister, when she was about 10, be attacked by a German Shepherd, didn't you?
Yes.
And she almost had her face ripped off, correct?
Yes, she did.
Now, and because of the dog, you thought a retreat would be the best option, right?
Not because of the dog, no.
Okay. This is Exhibit 291, and it starts, we're on tape October 15th, 2010. You were interviewed again by Sergeant Gia on October 15th, 2010, correct?
Yes.
just could we get the page?
I'm getting there, page 64. And did Sergeant G ask you this question, and did you make this answer? It's your opinion, considering the situation. Oh, I'm sorry, I need to give you this. Excuse me. Let me show you Exhibit 291, page 64. Let me get it. Sergeant Gia said, it's your opinion that, considering the situation, we've gone hands-on, this guy resisted, we pepper sprayed him, we've tased him twice, touch-tased him once, your opinion would still just back out. And your answer? Because of that dog, I think a tactical retreat would have been the best option. Gia, because of the dog, for Joe, correct?
Yes, a tactical retreat would have been the best option.
In fact, you were ready to go. You wanted to retreat, didn't you?
Well, once Chrisman put the gun to Daniel's head,
Sir, if you could just try to answer my question. You were ready to go, you wanted to retreat, correct?
absolutely.
Now, you have, in your training, you've got a radio, you can call for help, right, with you, right, sir?
Just like Chrisman, yes.
Well, that wasn't my question, I said, you, right?
Yes.
And I think I better use what I said. Wait. And instead of retreating, if you wanted help, you could just radio 906, couldn't you?
Yes.
906 means I need, or we need some help ASAP, right away, correct?
Yes.
You didn't do that.
No.
And then when Chrisman shoots the dog, you backed off because, number one, you were afraid, right?
No.
Okay, look at 290, I believe. That's the first one. I'm looking for the first interview, sir, of Gia.
What number is it?
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I think it's a thicker one. Maybe I haven't given it to you. I'm sorry, it's 291. And turning to page 24, let's start at the bottom of page 23. You say, I backed off at that point after he shot the dog. Egea, Virgilio. I backed off. Egea, why was that? Virgilio, well, number one, I was afraid a little bit. Is that what you told Sergeant Egea?
In Chrisman's condition, I was...
Sure, is that what you told Sergeant Egea?
Yes.
And then you took a step or two back, and then you came back. Yeah. That's what you told her, right?
Yes.
Can I have a few minutes? I need just a minute or two to...
Yes, sir. Strap, strap.
Okay. Your mindset back then was, I never, ever wanted to go in that trailer. I never would have gone in that trailer. That was your mindset that afternoon, was it?
Yes.
That's all I have, thank you.
Sir, with regard to this issue about you being afraid a little bit, do you remember that question being asked just a couple minutes ago?
Yes.
And you indicated something about Chrisman's condition. Why were you afraid a little bit?
Well, when Chrisman put his gun to his head,
Did he put it to his own head or somebody else's head?
when Chrisman put the gun to Daniel's head the way he did, who knows what could have happened to me?
So when you were referring to the being afraid a little bit, is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
You also talked about being able to see the gun. Do you remember being asked about that prior to lunch?
Yes.
And one of the things that you indicated that in terms of the defendant, you weren't able to see his gun, right?
Right.
Why is it that you couldn't see his gun?
Because Chrisman's gun was on the opposite side of me. Chrisman's right hand, and it was on the other side of him.
And where were you standing throughout this whole thing as it happened?
Breach of the door, right there in the tile area.
And as you're standing there, you said you couldn't see the gun, right?
Yes.
And as Mr. Rodriguez goes to get out, where are his hands?
On the bicycle.
Throughout this time, as Mr. Rodriguez is standing there, are you able to see his hands?
Yes.
Are you able to see what he's doing with his hands?
He's wheeling the bike out with his hands.
If he were to stretch or gone anywhere else, would you have been able to see those hands?
Yes.
And at any time after he grabbed the bicycle, were those hands, were you able to see them at all times?
Yes.
And at any time, did you see him try to grab the gun?
No.
So when you say that you didn't see the gun, are you saying now, though, that you were unable to determine whether or not Mr. Rodriguez was able to reach for the gun?
He couldn't. His hands were on the bicycle.
And at any time, did you see him reach for the gun?
No.
You were asked many questions about where you were standing throughout this event. Initially, when you went in terms of the dogs, you were asked, well, did you see the dogs walking or did you see the dogs running? Do you remember that?
Yes.
You were shown a transcript. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you were asked, well, isn't it true that you said that you saw the dogs walking? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Well, actually, you said something else yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
What did you say yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Can find it? See what you actually said? This is exhibit number 298. What'd you find it?
Yes.
And what page are you looking at?
Top of 39.
And what does the top of page 39 say about the dogs?
The dogs were just walking towards Chrisman at the door.
In terms of these dogs, did you say that you did see the nose or not?
The nose of the dog?
Right, when you went in. When was the first time that you saw the dogs?
When Chrisman opened the door, I saw two dogs coming.
And where were they when you saw them?
They were coming back from the hallway area.
You indicated that at first you were concerned about them, right?
Yes.
And as the event went on, did you stay concerned?
No.
You did indicate in response to a question something to the effect that, well, yes, I was worried, but you used the word initially. What were you talking about?
Well, when I first saw the dogs and we went in, one dog disappeared, the other dog went by the television and barked the entire time. He wasn't dangerous at that time.
So as this unfolded, were you still worried about the dogs?
No.
One of the things that you talked about was this issue about the 911 call. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you said, well, no, I didn't believe it was a 911 call. Do you remember telling us that?
Yes.
And in fact, there was a conversation that you had with Detective Porter, right?
Yes.
You have that transcript in front of you, correct?
Yes.
You indicated something that you wanted to elaborate. In your mind at that time, was it a 911 call that you were responding to?
No.
What type of call were you responding to?
Priority to non-emergency call, which is transferred from 911 over to the non-emergency section.
What does that mean that it goes to the non-emergency section? In
None.
your mind, as to whether or not it's a 911 call?
Based on the level priority of the call.
And so if the level, the priority of the call isn't, what, 1?
Yes.
Then it's not considered a 911 call in your mind.
Yes.
Sir, one of the things that you were asked about was whether or not you talked to Detective Porter, what it is that you told Detective Porter about where you were standing when this thing was going on. And there was this statement about you being in the patio. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you said, yeah, I did say patio. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Was the front door, did it lead to a patio?
Yes.
And did it also have a door?
Yes.
And you also indicated to Detective Porter what, in terms of what your positioning was when the shooting took place. And if you need to find it in the transcript and read it to us.
I don't need to find it, sir.
Well, I want you to find it.
For my purposes, Mr. Martinez, which shooting are you referring to?
The shooting by the defendant, me, and I know the dog also did.
When he finds it, can we just have which transcript?
Sure.
Please?
You might have to help me out here.
Pardon?
You might have to help me out here.
Well, why don't you just read it then, and then we'll find it. We'll find it again.
First one to find it, could you share that information?
Pardon?
The first one that finds it, could you share the information?
Why don't you take a look at page 46? And give me the exhibit.